Her eyes are red and swollen. She's been crying.
She remained inside, and Lindbergh came out and spoke briefly to the press, and later they saw Anne being hustled away. And the story went out and was published in a couple of the tabloids that she had suffered a nervous breakdown during the flight.
Lindbergh was outraged, and he would not forget. When his son, Charles Lindbergh Jr., was born 2 months later, no member of their staff would even confirm it.
Can you give us any confirmation at all? Do you know whether the doctors were up there today, or whether the son was born as we have already learned?
You've got more information than I have. So I didn't see the doctor. I don't know whether there's a baby born here today.
As weeks went by, an eager world grew impatient for a look at the Lindbergh baby.
And then he calls a press conference and he hands out a photograph of the baby, the infant that he's taken, and bars the 5 newspapers that ran the story about Anne's nervous breakdown, because Lindbergh is not only going to control the media, he's going to punish them.
Of course, by the end of the day, the picture had appeared in every newspaper. The 5 papers that had been banned, every paper in the country, and indeed in the world.
He felt so terribly bitter about the reporters who dogged his every step, and I among them, of course. We should have gotten along better than we did, but we didn't.
By 1932, the relationship between Lindbergh and the press had changed so much that it showed in the reporting.
And suddenly the press doesn't write about Lindbergh as though he's a god. People are starting to get a little tired of this. It's that feeling of, well, what makes him so great? Don't forget, we have a depression that has fallen upon the world. People are really going through hard times. And it got less and less pleasant each day to read about those fabulous Lindberghs.
For the first time, mixed in with his fan mail, Lindbergh received letters making threats against his family. There was plenty of security at the Morrow's family estate, gates and guards to keep the world at bay, but the Lindberghs wanted to live on their own. They began to build their dream house in a very rural, very isolated part of New Jersey that offered them maximum privacy. They called the house Highfields, and even before it was finished, they began to spend weekends there.
And they had really only spent maybe a dozen nights there on weekends. It wasn't even furnished yet. They didn't have drapes or curtains up on the windows. It was brand new.
On the last Monday in February 1932, Anne awoke to find little Charlie running a slight fever. With the baby too sick to travel, the Lindberghs decided to spend a few more nights at Highfields.
Tuesday, Anne came down with the baby's cold, and the baby was a little better, but the cold had gotten into his chest, and she felt that it would be good to have Betty Gow helping her take care of the baby.
Betty Gow was the baby's nurse. Anne called her at her parents' estate and asked her to come to Highfields, explaining that Charles was spending the day in New York on business. By afternoon, Betty was there with the baby, and Anne went for a walk.
As she was returning to the house, she looked up and she saw Betty at the window with Charles Lindbergh Jr. She was holding him up, and he waved to his mother.
That night, around 6 o'clock, Betty and Anne prepare the baby for bed, minister to the baby's cold. Anne leaves, and Betty, around 7:30, sits up for a while with the baby till the baby's asleep. And around 8:35, Lindbergh comes home, honks his horn to let everybody know he's home.
Anne was waiting there downstairs for him. They had a quick supper. After dinner, Anne went upstairs into the bathroom to take a long, hot bath. Charles went into his study in the far corner of the house. Sometime shortly after that, he later said he heard a noise.
Lindbergh heard the sound of what he thought was cracking wood. He said, "What's that?" But he didn't get up to investigate.
Around 10 o'clock, Betty Gow, as usual, goes into the baby's room to double check the baby one last time.
When she entered the room, she felt that it was extremely cold and that the French window was open.
And she turns the light on in the bathroom so as to not shed too much light in the room. She doesn't hear anything. There's no sounds, there's no movement, there's no breathing, and she feels the crib for the baby and realizes that the baby is gone.
Her first thought was that Colonel Lindbergh, who was this inveterate practical joker, had the child.
Betty Gow just ran down the stairs and went up to the study and said, "Now, Colonel Lindbergh, don't joke with me. Do you have the baby?" Lindbergh didn't say a word. He just shot up from his chair.
He dashed upstairs, and Anne was with him, and he said, "My God, Anne, they've stolen our baby." She was in a total state of disbelief.
ABC News, Vanished, Stolen in the Night, will continue in a moment.
AT&T 00 info. I need a phone number. The mystery bookstore? I don't have a clue which town.
Now you don't need the exact location.
Found it.
AT&T customers dial 00 for directory assistance.
Oh, oh, it's magic. You know.
When you give a solitaire, you say more. And you say it with more brilliance, more depth, more fire. The Diamond Solitaire. A diamond is forever. De Beers.
Fighting tartar, brushing may not be enough. Try the only mouthwash that helps fight tartar buildup. Tartar Control Listerine. It's better than brushing alone. Tartar Control Listerine. What brushing starts, Listerine finishes.
Sharing a bathroom with guys is like biological warfare. But at least shaving's easy with new Silk Effects Plus. With guard wires plus a convenient shower hanger. New Silk Effects Plus. Shaving made easy.
Want to get back to your pre-pregnancy weight?
After pregnancy, I was still wearing my maternity clothes. I had on extra weight that I just needed to get rid of.
Dexatrim works all day to help you eat less.
I lost over 13 pounds with the Dexatrim plan.
Dexatrim, recommended #1 by pharmacists.
Hey, Mike, why are we going backwards, huh?
Because Penn City is moving an hour earlier at 8/7 Central.
Mike, I got another question. Why, when I get a meatball sandwich, they always put so much...
Go away, Paul.
Oh, okay. Nice butt, Mike.
Hey, Mike, nice butt. You know I've been working my buns off to get us back at Tuesdays at 8. Job well done.
Penn City moves to 8/7 Central Tuesday, starting July 20th on ABC.
Hi, I'm Robert Brooks for the Green Bay Packers. The Family Violence Center provides victims and their children with safety and support. Make a difference. Support United Way.
We can learn all about how, different people, long ago, their cultures. To learn how to grow your own food. History teaches us what man has done in the past and to figure out where rivers are.
The mistakes people in history made, we know not to make again because we know what the consequences are going to be if we do.
When Vanished continues, police swing into action, and the largest manhunt the country had ever seen sets out to find Charles Lindbergh Jr.
An incredible web went into place throughout the country. Literally, it became the first priority of every policeman in the United States to be aware of the Lindbergh baby.
ABC News, Vanished, will continue after this from our ABC stations.
It's a brand new subdivision, beautiful homes with local residents ready, willing, and able to move in. But the city is not letting the owners get near it. And coming up at 11, you'll see why their road to homeowner happiness is a mess.
Plus new information about one of the necessities of the 90s. It's a possibility that today's cell phone could be tomorrow's major health risk. It's a special assignment only on 7.
And 2 construction accidents and 2 nail-biting rescues. You'll see both only on 7. Don't go away.
Watch Action News at 11 on WXYZ 7.
Cell phones. Are some unsafe? Important new information.